podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Two-Footed Extra Pod. This is our quick hit show where I'll unpack the latest news and gossip, plus rumours in the world of football. This show was brought to you by our friends over at Liberty Shield. Did you know that Liberty Shield's VPN service not only keeps your data safe, but can also help you bypass government blocks on IPTV streaming? When connected to Liberty Shield, your internet activity is encrypted, meaning your ISP can't see or block those crucial live football streams when you sit down to watch. It genuinely is the ultimate solution for staying connected and never missing a match. Right now, you can save 25% by using the code EPL25OFF. That's EPL25OFF at checkout. All caps, no spaces. Oh, and one more thing. For more in-depth analysis on the biggest talking points from around the world of football, don't miss my main show, the Two-Footed Podcast, with new episodes dropping every single weekday. And if you want more from EPL Index, don't forget our Tad Predictable preview show or the Final Whistle review show recorded immediately after the big Sunday match. Now, let's crack on. What's good, boys and girls? Two-Footed Extra on Friday, the 25th of October. And we start in Spain. There is a really good piece by Alex Bysouth on the BBC website about Deportivo La Coruña and the rise, fall, and rise again of this fantastic club. I highly recommend everybody check that out. Liverpool have ruled Diogo Jota out of their trip to Arsenal this weekend, and likewise Arsenal themselves are dealing with injuries. Mikel Arteta said he and his players do not feel sorry for themselves. We'll see how that changes depending on the result. Erik ten Hag, who always likes to feel sorry for himself, has said that injuries are holding Manchester United back. We've been hearing this for 2 years. We've been hearing this for 2 years. All he does is whinge and fail. Manchester United coach Darren Fletcher has been charged with misconduct by the Football Association following Saturday's 2-1 win against Brentford. He is alleged to have used improper and/or he is alleged to have acted in an improper and/or confrontational manner and used abusive and/or insulting words towards match officials. I believe this came from the Brentford goal. Matthias de Ligt was bleeding from his head, was made leave the pitch, and Brentford scored from a corner that took place immediately after. He was bleeding from his head. The rules state you cannot be on the pitch if you are bleeding. It was the correct thing to happen. Ange Postecoglou has said comparisons to Brazilian forward Neymar will not affect Tottenham's teenage star Mikey Moore. The kid does look the business, let's be fair, but Neymar comparisons are just silly at this point. And also not something the kid should ever wish to ascend to, because Neymar ultimately wasted most of his talent. Eddie Howe has said that the contract talks with Alexander Isak are a complex situation, which tells me he probably wants a release clause. He probably wants a release clause. Newcastle have obviously had some issues with profit and sustainability, and obviously they have to be careful with their spending. They also look at players like Isak, who they bought for 63 million, and know that if they are to get where they want to be, ideally they want to keep him, but it may be in their best interest, maybe in a year or so, to sell him if they could double or more their money, especially given that 63 million will have amortized, for the last 2 years. So he's probably on their books right now for about 35 million. So if they could sell him for 135, that would be 100 million profit that they can put into the books, which would clear things up nicely for them. We saw the situation in the summer where they sold Minta, which I think is going to sting them for a long time, and Elliot Anderson, another one that will sting them for a long time. And the largest reason that they had to sell these players is because Eddie Howe spent money badly. He spent money badly. Like, they didn't need to buy Sandro Tonali. They didn't need to buy Harvey Barnes. I really like Harvey Barnes. You already had Anthony Gordon. Now, I would rather have Barnes than Gordon, because I think he offers a bit more in general play. But Barnes has injury issues, and they play the same role. And their predominant skill sets are quite similar. If you hadn't bought those two, you would still have Yankuba Minta, you would still have Elliot Anderson, and your team would be looking a lot closer to complete right now than it does. Lazio's Leon Chuana was taken off last night during his side's Europa League win against Twente after being racially abused. And this is just, again, in this game, in this year, what are we doing in the world that in 2024, racism is still taking place at football matches? Like, what are we doing here? Speaking of what are we doing here, the African Player of the Year shortlist has been named, and Mohamed Salah is not on it. Victor Boniface also not on it. Not really sure how, but more laughable is Salah, who's the best player to ever come out of Africa. Carlos Corberan has vowed to keep chasing his West Brom dream, I should say, as he marks his 2-year anniversary as manager at the Hawthorns. I like him. I think he's got a big future. Shout out to Paul Sterrett. Swindon Town have a new manager, and it is Ian Holloway. First time in 4 years, Ian Holloway will be seen in a dugout since he resigned as Grimsby Town boss back in late 2020. He has managed 989 games in English football, and he replaces Mark Kennedy, who was sacked this morning. It's interesting. I don't like Swindon are a mess. No question, they're a mess. But I don't know if Ian Holloway is going to be the man to get them out of that mess. If we take a look at his managerial career, he began with Bristol Rovers, and to be fair, he did quite well there. He did pretty well with QPR. He did pretty well with Plymouth until he fell out with some people. Leicester was not good. Blackpool, he did okay. Palace was not good. Millwall was not good. QPR the second time around was not good. In Grimsby, there was a lot of things outside of his control. And obviously COVID happened. But it didn't go great. It didn't go great. I'm disappointed for Mark Kennedy, Irish international, former Liverpool player whose career I followed from the jump when he was at Millwall. As a young kid, he was kind of... What happened was with Mark Kennedy, so there's a club in my hometown called Parkville United, and they have the better footballing facilities in our local town. And one summer, I happened to be up at Parkville with some friends kicking ball, and this guy that I knew from around the town was there, and he had his cousin with him, who was a few years older than us, and that cousin was home after moving over to England to play for Millwall. He hadn't made his first team debut at that point. And then I remember reading in the paper about, 3 months later, that he had made his debut for, actually, it might have been more than that. Either way, it doesn't really matter. He made his debut for Millwall, and I followed his career from then because he was a nice guy and he was so much better than everybody else. We were there was a bunch of older kids there as well, and this guy was just so much better than everybody else. It wasn't even funny. And he went on, and he didn't have the career that his talent sort of dictated. Injuries hurt him at a bunch of key different times. But he was really good for Wolves when he was there. He was really good for Millwall as well, which is what got him the Liverpool move. And I've always felt like if he'd been given an opportunity as a regular starter as the left wing back in Liverpool's 3-5-2, I think he could have made that position his own. If he'd just gotten, like, if Roy Evans had just said, look, you're going to get 25 games here, and no matter what, I'm going to stick with you. Go and learn this position and make it your own, because this is the opening. This is the opportunity here for you. And I think his career could have gone in a different direction. But ultimately, he had a good career. He's now a manager. He's been at Macclesfield. He's been at Lincoln. And he's been here at Swindon. And it hasn't worked at Swindon, but, you know, such is life. I'll be back after the break with the gossip. See you in a sec. Right, welcome back. So we'll just run through the gossip and see what's what from today. Erling Haaland is interested in joining Real Madrid when he leaves Manchester City. That's Mundo Deportivo. It might as well be Real Madrid putting it out there publicly themselves. This is great. Federico Chiesa has been linked with a loan move as he looks to regain his form. With AC Milan, Roma and Inter Milan all potential offers. He only just moved to Liverpool and he's got all the happiness in the world about getting the move. What would he be looking to leave? Arsenal and Liverpool are still keen on Arda Güler. Would love Arda Güler at Liverpool. Would absolutely love it. Arsenal could join the race to sign Victor Gyökeres. We'll see what money Arsenal have to spend this summer. They're up against it again, though. Alexander Isak is keen to sign a new deal at Newcastle, despite interest from Arsenal and Chelsea. However, Newcastle did not see any rush, given he's got 3 seasons after this on his contract. Josh Zirkzee could return on loan to Serie A after just 1 goal in 11 games to United. Again, he's just moved. Stop this. Besiktas are keen on taking Dominic Calvert-Lewin on loan. He's out of contract at the end of the season, so that's not happening. English managers Graham Potter and Gareth Southgate are among the candidates to replace Oliver Glasner. Potter would be a real opportunity, but I would still stick with Glasner. He's a better manager, but Southgate's the nonsense. Arsenal are considering signing Dusan Vlahovic. They can consider all they want. Juve don't seem to want to sell. Barcelona directors have met with the agents of Pedri to discuss his contract situation. You see, you've got to be careful with that contract. With the injuries he's had, you don't want to massively, commit to him and then he turns out to miss half seasons. Here we go. Middlesbrough have ruled out the possibility of Hayden Hackney joining Newcastle or Tottenham in January. Okay. I think he will leave in January if there's an offer, though. Ipswich could terminate Calvin Phillips' loan from Man City in the January transfer window if he doesn't get up to speed. That's nonsense. He's actually not playing too badly. Manchester United have expressed an interest in activating Alvaro Fernandez' £16 million buyback. They just look foolish. They look foolish right now. Chigi Begiristain is a target for clubs in the Saudi Pro League. We'll see. Liverpool are set to step up their interest in Mark Guehi. No, they're not. That is what is known where I'm from as horseshit. So, folks, I will see you all on Wednesday of next week. I will not be here Monday or Tuesday. Monday's a bank holiday. Tuesday, I have appointments. So I will see you Wednesday, all going well. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.